Okay, so we are live. I will give it about 5 seconds and then I'll get started. So thank you so much to those of you who are joining us now. Welcome. This session is titled Grow Your Career at Amplifon. My name is Ruby, for those of you who don't know me, and I am the event coordinator at Audiology Australia. First, I would like to acknowledge that I am attending this session from the lands of the Wurundjeri as the traditional custodians of this place we now call Melbourne. I also acknowledge the traditional custodians of the various lands on which all of you are attending from today and the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people participating in Inspire 2020. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and celebrate the diversity of Aboriginal peoples and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and waters. So once again, welcome to everyone. I've just got a few housekeeping announcements to go through before we begin. So if you would like to activate captioning during a session, please click on More at the bottom of your screen and you'll be able to see those come up on your Zoom view. If you're not seeing More, there should actually just be an option called Closed Captions, so feel free to click on there too. In relation to assessments, if you would like to gain CPD points, please make sure you complete the session assessment that will be found shortly under the session information to the right of this presentation window. We would love to have you all engage with us during the event. This conference is for you, so please join the discussion and ask questions throughout this presentation today. You'll be able to do that through the Q&A function of your window. So as I mentioned, today's session is titled Grow Your Career at Amplifon. I would like to thank our gold partner Amplifon for your ongoing support and for making this session possible today. We are extremely fortunate to have members of Amplifon with us to present to you today, and I will now hand over to you, John, to start us off.
Yes, thank you, Ruby. Thank you for the kind words. I find it fortunate that we are a sponsor of this great initiative that Audiology Australia has put together. And what I wanted to first of all say is good evening to everyone out there. I can't see you, but I definitely will hear from you, hopefully. I'd like to thank you everyone for your time, for your precious time. I realise it is after hours for some of you that are still working. I also realise that some of you are still studying, so interrupting some of your busy schedules. To that, I also want to reiterate that potentially some of the information and material that we'll be sharing tonight may have been covered during our graduate forum. So apologies for that. However, with that being said, hopefully it can reconfirm and ascertain who we are at Amplifon, what we represent, and also as the program suggests, understand how to grow your career at Amplifon and display some of the decorated career pathways that have transpired locally, and hopefully give you inspiration, I guess, to potentially reinvigorate your current audiological career, or if you wish to sort of take on board a career with Amplifon. With that said, we'll also be having a special guest speaker who will be joining us later in the session. So to run you through the agenda this evening, I'm going to give you a brief understanding of who we are at Amplifon, as well as a little bit of a background about myself. We're going to talk a little bit about the Amplifon employee experience, and we're going to have that covered by Julian Teo, who is our Victorian area manager, and Ling Chong, who's part of our HR team and our talent manager. Thereafter, we'll be handing over to Raki, who is our Audiology Excellence Manager, who's going to talk a little bit about the new innovative initiatives and protocols that we've got currently underway within Amplifon. So a little bit of I believe, a revolutionary way of the way we do, I guess, audiology with our and also Narayan Ray, our own product on choice. Finally, as mentioned before, we've got Mark Lawrence, who I'm grateful is able to join us. Mark is not flying over from here, but he's joining us all the way up abroad in Belgium. And Mark comes with a wealth of experience. I like to call him our guru within the Amplifon group, who's currently a medical scientific research manager, and he's helped propel and instigate a lot of audiology protocols and instigated some white papers. So more from Mark later. However, who am I? I guess is very important. So again, as Ruby mentioned, my name's John Trampeski. I'm currently the Southern Region Associate Sales Director. However, what's probably a little bit different like others is that I, like everyone else that I can't see right now, am also an audiologist. So I currently hold a clinical certified practice membership. So I'm clinically certified and also a member of Audiology Australia. So I find it befitting and fortunate enough that I can open today's presentation and give you a little bit of insight about who we are at Amplifon, as I mentioned before, as well as what pathways we have installed. So just a brief view about my pathway. I started off as a provisional audiologist many moons ago, many years ago. However, had the opportunity to grow and develop into different roles throughout those years, without mentioning all of them. However, that was only being given due to not only my major ambition and drive to excel and learn and develop, but also only because Amplifon gave that opportunity to invest in our people. And we can talk a little bit more about those opportunities, how they've helped propagate a lot of our senior staff. So even today, as I said, I'm an audiologist that like to keep my ear to the ground. So I like to talk the talk as well as walk the walk. I like to understand what's happening within the audiology industry because I think it's great. And I think we should feel inspired that we're all part of this great industry together. So first of all, Amplifon, a global leader. Anyone can say they're a global leader, but I think it's testament in the numbers alone. As you can see, Amplifon is currently spread across many countries, 29 across all major continents, with 11,000 clinics. That's quite a substantial key figure. I actually wanted to look in a little bit more about this and try to sort of size ourselves up to other companies and more so those technology companies that like to connect with people like we do. And someone like Apple, for instance, to put it into perspective, has 500 stores across fewer countries. So I think the main point I'm trying to make here is that we see main value in connecting with people is face-to-face where possible. Obviously, it's a challenging time right now when I say face-to-face. However, obviously, we've been innovative in our platforms on how we connect with people, and we've still got all our sites open to try and connect and engage with our clients and customers. However, with that said, we are not an online channel and we are not a manufacturer-owned company. We're a hearing service provider. And as hearing service provider, I think best is instilled and performed is in, I guess, having that face-to-face opportunity in those clinics. So obviously, it's quite expansive and very big. And one of the fortunate things of being part of a global company is obviously that we're able to provide each other support. And having that support, being able to share key practices, best practices. So we think global, but act local. And I think that's been testament, even during these difficult, challenging times, being part of a larger organization helped us remain sustainable during these treacherous periods, even if it meant trying to source PPE, which we're managing to be able and be across instantly by talking and sharing with our partners abroad. So I think it's worthwhile knowing, as I would, where did Amplifon come from? It didn't just become a global leader overnight. What's interesting is to note that Amplifon spans back some 70 years. And it's quite inspirational. I'll use that word inspirational a lot given the theme of this program. But I think it's fair to say that the inspiring part of this story is that the Amplifon business itself started during a difficult period of time, similar to like what we're in now. We're not in a war, but some can call it in similar sort of aspects what we're sort of experiencing. But it was actually founded by a gentleman by the name of Charles Holland, who was an ex-war veteran and realized he was suffering from hearing loss as well as his colleagues and comrades. And he wanted to do something about it. And he got inspired by that and wanting to help them. And he sees an opportunity having that entrepreneurial spirit to not just service, I guess, those that were in loss or in need, but those others across Italy. And that's where the company was founded. And throughout the years, Amplifon Group was able to further expand and reach out and regroup into other countries within Europe. By the 1990s, it was already one of the largest hearing care providers, as it is right now today. In 1997, National Hearing Centres, I guess, was founded itself, what we currently know as National Hearing Care. That was back nearly over 23 years ago now. And that started off with only 3 stores. And I'll go to a later slide now to give you an understanding of how large we've actually grown from that smaller beginning. However, back in, if we step forward in 2010, we joined the Amplifon Group. And we're currently in the process as we, I guess, rebrand ourselves as Amplifon. So please make no mistake if you come across and see ourselves as National Hearing Care. We do have stores that are branded National Hearing Care, but will be branded Amplifon not too long soon. Some of the other key takeouts, I guess, during those milestones is during the expansion is not only into different regions and continents, but by 2018, we actually launched our own privately branded Amplifon product line, which we'll talk a little bit about later. Not to be mistaken with this, we're not a manufacturer, but this comes with, I guess, a few added benefits, which gives us a little bit more of a point of difference, and it's all to do with the customer. I guess the biggest thing there at the end is in 2019, just to give you, I guess, an understanding of the size and scope, we are listed in the European Stock Exchange in the top 600, similar to what we have with the S&P 500 or the ASX 200 more locally. It just means that we're obviously a very large organization, but make no mistake, if you're part of a large organization, it means that not only is it sustainable, but it means that it's successful. And I believe that will continue to only be successful as we continue to work on strong, innovative and new initiatives that we'll be talking about a little bit later as we try and drive that. To the right, obviously we're part of Asia Pacific Group. What we have there is the countries that make up Asia Pacific. Obviously you've got Australia and you've got Attune, who recently joined the Amplifon Group, who's more a diagnostic organization. The main thing I want to mention here is that Australia represents or contributes a large facet to the overall performance of Amplifon Group. And with that said, it just means that Amplifon Group, headquarters in Italy, obviously pays special attention and invests a lot into Australia. So we continue to be a leader, not only locally, but globally, but by investing in our people and in our organization locally. So I think it's important with any major businesses to understand what we're all about, our purpose. I guess I like to see this in what motivates us, and what we achieve best is when we're motivated. And our main purpose is what we strive to do, what we try and accomplish. And it's pretty well spelled out. And I can give you a little bit of a short story how I think that this has really come out, that we don't just draw it up there, but we actually live upon it, especially in today's world, where we empower people to rediscover all the emotions of sound. 3 main words that really stand out to me is empowerment. So really, I guess, taking away the stigma that our customers might have, as well as our people that work with us, empowering them to get the best out of them so they feel comfortable at work, but also all about rediscovering. So using the best technology available to rediscover all those emotions of sound, where it's not just about hearing better, but reconnecting to what they need to hear better to improve their quality of life. And I think we're quite fortunate to be working in the industry that we have, and we drew upon this purpose, especially more locally as we are currently experiencing. I'm dialing in from Melbourne, so we've got some strict restrictions underway. However, we've been given, obviously, the opportunity to provide services still as an essential hearing services provider. And that's key and testament to the fact that the reason why governments see us as essential is because of that purpose, about the need for customers to rediscover all the emotions of sound. And I think regardless if you're working in Amplifon, and I'll talk widely here, within audiology, it really is a great industry in what we can do for our customers. But what I can say personally from Amplifon is what we can not only do for our customers, which is our focal point, but also what we do with our people. And I think we've invested really heavily, and I think more recently, they've really come to discover that as they've defined and realized that even other providers probably couldn't remain open due to other facets. We did, but provided all the safety necessary. Now, what's important as well is our values. So like any organization, we need our values to help drive our purpose. We've got these broken down into 5 key pillars. Everything is always about our customer. We want to remain devoted to our customer. So they're always at the forefront, almost like what you heard before, our customer is always right. We do want to listen and hear to ensure that their care is exceptional and they get the right outcome. We also look into personal impact as being viable and important. We really want to empower our staff to think freely and come up with ideas if they see that that might actually make a difference and get them inclusive. Everyday excellence. I guess this is not just about being an audiologist for a day and doing something good once in a while. It's about being consistent, about providing that level of high care and then acting responsibly. This is just about being the penultimate audiologist, consummate audiologist, where we want people to do the right thing. So we actually have trust in our audiologists to retain and remain with that right integrity. And then finally, my favorite one, it probably goes back to the start. And as we continue to think forward, it's about forward thinking, remaining innovative, making sure that we don't just sort of stop here and be complacent and think that we've got everything right, because we don't. We're all open ears, pardon the pun, to finding out what we think is necessary to go back and achieve our purpose. And I think as I speak a little bit later, I'll hand it over down the track and you'll hear more about some of these forward-thinking ideas that we've got in play. But we're always there to keep improving. We'll never say that we're content with what we're doing right now. And then we've got our mission, probably not to be mistaken with our purpose. This is basically the 3 key pillars I like to sort of break down in regards to how we want to achieve our purpose. And the main first one is that transformation, leading on from what I was talking about before, about being innovative. Even more locally, we're undergoing massive transformation in the last year and a bit with regards to some of the assessment protocols we've got in place, some of our back-end systems as well, and really trying to be a key driver in influencing what we think the market needs and what our hearing care professional requires, our audiologists, in order to achieve our purpose. The second point is all about striving. I guess this is really about having that real passion and that desire to find the best solution. We're not a one-trick pony, only work with one manufacturer to try and work with the best device or outcome we can give. We look for the best solutions available. So, and also make that available to as many customers as we can to give that outstanding experience. So we don't just work with one customer type or target one customer type. And then finally, it's about the people. And this one's ultra important. It goes back, I guess, with regards to the heading of our session today about career growth and plans. So again, I can talk personally, but we do try and attract and develop and empower our own people. So not only do we try and attract those people that share those values, that same passion, that same drive, that want to be part of a progressive organization and want to feel that they're part of something that's actually making a difference to our customers. But then not only once we attract, we develop. And I'm one example of that. And we've got many more. So I've been fortunate in being part of that, but also empowering. So giving that opportunity to all our audiologists, whether they're being made, we don't expect everyone to be, this is an academy to make our area managers, but empowering by getting their voices heard, so they feel included in some of the decisions that we make moving forward and getting involved in any projects that we've got, and we're currently doing that. So I've talked global. I think we need to talk local. So as I mentioned before, National Hearing Care, as it started greater than 20 years ago, now as it's becoming known as Amplifon, has grown from those 3 clinics and mainly situated into metropolitan areas, has now expanded all across every state of Australia, including the Northern Territory and Darwin. And our growth continues to head that way. We're still investing into this, and we don't see that anything should stop us from visiting, and also, I guess not so much visiting, but also servicing customers in need and with hearing loss. So with that said, we're still looking to progress and open up new sites within 2021. Please, if you are currently working elsewhere, or if you're a graduate and you haven't expressed interest, you can do so via our social platforms or on our website to find out a little bit more in where those opportunities lie. Finally, I wanted to sort of finish with some two quotes here that come from Linda Reid, who's a store manager and an audiologist that I can have the privilege to say I helped train some years ago. But it goes back to the first point being, working with Amplifon means that I am part of a strategic market leader with an inclusive organizational culture. So market leader, yes, it's big, it's sustainable, it's progressive, it's future thinking, but inclusive. One thing's to be part of something that's moving forward, but when you feel like you're just a passenger in that train, I'm sure that probably doesn't feel as good. What we're trying to obviously culminate and what we're doing is getting our team involved. And I can speak of that locally because I don't have all the answers. Not anyone else in the leadership group does. We go out there to our people to get their feedback, and we do that with surveys. And then finally, it's all about what you put in is what you get out. And it goes back to how we try and grow and develop our people to try and achieve their personal goals. But I'll hand you over to Julene and to Raki to give you a little bit of an example of Amplifon employee experience. But the main takeouts for me, because there was a bit of content there, is that we're progressive, we're successful, we're all about the customer, and we're all about our people being not only attracting the best, but obviously giving the empowerment and development as we see fit to make sure we get the best outcome for our people, and then which culminates into the best customer service. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, John. Hi, everyone. My name is Julene, and I'm here to share with you a little bit more about our unique Amplifon employee experience. So just to start off, I'll just share with you a bit about my journey as well. So my own Amplifon journey started 7 years ago when I joined the company as a provisional audiologist straight after graduating from the Masters of Audiology course in Melbourne Uni. And a year later, I became a qualified practitioner, and I went on working in a clinic for another 4 years before moving on to the cluster manager role. As a cluster manager, I had 1 day of clinical work, and the remaining days were spent connecting with and supporting my team of 19 clinics. And earlier this year, I then moved on to the area manager role, and I'm now looking after a team of 25 clinics in the northern and western parts of Victoria. So thank you, Jenny. At Amplifon, our team live and breathe our purpose of empowering people to rediscover the emotions of sound. Customer devotion is at the core of our values, and we have a culture of inspiring one another to make a positive impact in our clients' lives. Our employees are part of a global community where collaborations across different countries are common. For example, some of our audiologists are currently working in project teams with our European counterparts in Milan. And we also have our very own social media. It's called Yammer, where teams across the globe in Italy, France, Spain, New Zealand, and so on would frequently post ideas and share pictures with the rest of the Amplifon global family. Part of the Amplifon experience is also about being on board with the fastest growing market leader in the industry. I'm proud to say, despite the current pandemic, we're proud that our people have stayed united, and we've managed to deliver strong results. And because of that, we're still looking to invest and expand our network further within Australia. We are also a dynamic bunch at Amplifon. Our teams have been very quick in embracing technology. We've been conducting a lot of our appointments in teleaudiology, and we've rolled out some very exciting initiatives, such as having consignment stocks ready in the clinic to feed our clients instantly. You also hear from Raki and Narayan later on in this presentation about NEXT, which is our very own Amplifon audiology protocol, and our very own Amplifon product line and Amplifon mobile phone app. Professional training, learning and development also never stops at Amplifon. Our people are our greatest assets, and we are fully committed to developing them to be the best they can be. Our clinicians participate in products trainings, annual conferences, and frequent small group case study discussions. Clinicians who are keen to develop their leadership skills are also given the opportunity to attend leadership training workshops that are conducted by external parties. I had been very fortunate to attend one of these workshops, and through this workshop, I formed very close-knit friendships with some of our interstate colleagues. And till this day, we are still in contact, checking in with each other and exchanging and bouncing ideas off each other. One of the other things that really attracted me to join Amplifon when I was an intern was the possibility to tailor-make my own career and to move into different roles within the company as I grow professionally. Some of our clinicians have moved into areas they are passionate about, such as training roles, marketing, human resource, project teams, and product management. You'll see from the next slide as well. Jenny? Thank you. So you see from this slide here that we've got examples of some of our colleagues who have moved from various roles across the company. So we've got here Raki. Raki is currently our Audiology Excellence Manager, and Raki started with us as an audiologist, and she's moved on to training roles and to area manager roles and to where she is now. And we've got Narayan as well. Narayan started with us as a provisional audiologist. He then moved on to the area manager role and has now moved into product management, where he's the product manager looking after all our portfolio of products. And finally, we've got Ali. Ali's journey started in New Zealand as a provisional audiologist. He then went on to a clinic manager role in New Zealand. And he's decided to come over to Australia to join us as a QP audiologist and has now been promoted to a store manager role within Amplifon Australia. So you can see from these examples, there are multiple pathways available to cater for your professional growth in future. And all it really takes is for you to have continuous conversations with your managers, ask for stretch opportunities so that you can explore where your interest truly lies. And with that, I'll pass on to Ling, who will share more about the kind of support that's available to our employees.
Thanks, Julene. Hello, everyone. I'm Ling Chong, Talent Manager from Amplifon Australia, and I'm very excited to virtually meet you all. Thank you once again to Audiology Australia for inviting us to present at this amazing, inspired event. So, as John and Julene alluded earlier, here at Amplifon, we certainly take pride in our continuous learning and innovative culture. So for instance, and as what John mentioned earlier, that we have already covered off in our career forums a few weeks back, for our audiology graduates, we have a thorough 8-week program where they will go activities such as observation and participation in the clinic to gain an understanding of how the clinic is run, to navigate the software we use, assist with documentation, and participate in appointments. And then at the same time as well, they will also have hands-on training with the rest of the graduate group, and as well as have an assigned supervisor to consolidate their training and knowledge and to learn how to put their practice in the clinic. For our QPs, we also provide several different types of training throughout the year. So to name a few, we provide training on topics such as manufacturer training, teleaudiology, hearing services program, refresher including refeeds, as well as audit and good documentation, record keeping, and many, many more. Raki, who is our Audiology Excellence Manager, will be able to share with you in further details in the upcoming slides. So separately as well, we also provide our audiologists clinic protocol training of which it's our pride and joy. Again, I will not take the limelight away from Raki, But at the same time, Raki and her amazing training team as well partake in routine observation of appointments to provide ongoing support and coaching around our audiologists' clinical and commercial skills. In addition to that as well, despite the COVID-19 challenges that we face over the last few months, Amplifon remains committed to our people's ongoing learning. So as a result, I'm very, very honored to announce that we have launched our very own Amplifon Learning Academy in August this year. So the Amplifon Learning Academy was primarily designed to provide our people with memorable and practical learning experiences, skills, knowledge, and tools to empower them to be the very best they can be. So under the Amplifon Learning Academy, we leveraged off global and local best practices and training contents to create a learning environment that encourages open learning and continuous knowledge sharing amongst our people. Since our launch a month ago, we have already successfully delivered several training workshops covering topics such as, effective communication and emotional intelligence, how to create a culture of accountability, cross-cultural awareness. And in fact, I myself will be attending this workshop tomorrow, so I'm very looking forward to that. Equally as important, here in Amplifon, we are also committed to promoting and celebrating a winning culture. So this means recognizing and celebrating the contribution and efforts of our people who has worked hard to achieve clinical excellence in line with our Amplifon values, as John mentioned earlier. So for example, we have our annual Charles Holland Award, which is a global prestigious award that is awarded to the top 50 clinics across Amplifon Group worldwide that demonstrates the highest excellence in clinic performance. So winners of the Charles Holland Award will be recognized through a winner's kit, for a lack of better description, which consists of trophies, certificates of excellence, as well as an attendance to a celebration event that is specifically organized for this award. In addition to that, we also have our annual Audiology Excellence Award to celebrate the top 10 highest achieving audiologists in Australia who have made outstanding contributions to our clinics, to our clients and business performance. So winners of the Audiology Excellence Award will be recognized through a winner's kit again, which consists of trophies, certificates of excellence, as well as the opportunity to choose a few fantastic prizes from our dedicated reward list. So, and of course, we also have in-clinic recognition activities or initiatives, as well as service awards to proudly recognize our long-serving and loyal employees, including John, who I believe recently celebrated his 20th anniversaries with Amplifon this year. So congrats, John. And on that note, I'll pass it on to Raki and Narayan to share a little bit more about our APL and our in-clinic protocols.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Elaine. It's fantastic to hear. Every time I hear about the culture, about people, people development, I get so passionate about it. And the culture that we have is so transparent, started from the leadership to the managers, to the clinicians. We have touch point meetings with all the COVID situation around. It's amazing to have these kind of touch point meetings and regular catch-ups within an organization, and one of the winning cultures that we have. And so we're so proud of these elements that you guys have talked about. I've got an exciting part to play here. So before I talk about my piece, I think John, Jolene, and Leng touched upon my role. I've been with the organization for about 19 years. And I've had a number of roles, and every role that I've taken, I've learned so much in these roles that I've, taken those experiences onto the next one. And like many of us here, we've learned from each other, and we have kind of added on to our experiences and put it in our kitty to add on to the next role. So as an audiologist background with audiology excellence as a role that I play or I have, my biggest passion is our customers. Jenny, if you can move on to the next. Yes. So the biggest passion that we have as a business, we change people's lives. We don't talk about hearing aids. We change people's lives. We provide solutions to our customers. So our customer-centric strategy that offers a distinctive and high innovative customer experience through an impeccable personalized solution or personalized service. That's what we really are here for, and that's what we aspire to be. Every day we work on this. If we move on to the next, we've got an incredible tool, which is a 360-degree customer experience tool. This provides a unique customer experience from the time they walk into our clinic, for screening to aftercare. Now, you would see what this customer journey, the salient features of this particular protocol. It's, as I said, it's quite unique. It significantly and has significantly enhanced audiological protocol. What it means is you have a set of test batteries that you all know. HSP also stipulates that we need to have certain tests in the test battery, but we have included speech and noise testing. We have included ANL testing, which some of you may have already are aware of, but we've got that as a mandatory test battery. So enhanced the customer journey by having added audiological testings. We also have an updated and innovative screening appointment. What it means is that we wanted our clients, when they walk in for screening for a screening check, we want them to have this journey that is very smooth from the time they walk in. So our CEAs conduct the tests from the time they walk in. We've extended this 360-degree customer experience onto them. So they hand over to the audiologist, and the customers feel there is a very smooth transition from screening to the audiological testing. And this is a program which was designed by the audiologist, and it is for the audiologist as such, but we have extended it, personalized in Australia. We've had the honor to, extend it to our CAs. This is, tested by our European partners. All the audiologists there, about 6,000 audiologists are using this particular protocol, and it's across different countries. And now we are also privileged to have this, rolled out in our organization here fully. Now, so it's what it gives is it's also a tool that provides consistency across our clinics and across the world. So what it means is that, sometimes when clinic to clinic, clinician to clinician, we find people do different things differently, but this protocol kind of binds it, brings that uniformity and consistency together. And also not just within Australia, but also all the partners within Amplifon clinics across the globe. So you see on the right hand side, what you're seeing is the unique, the journey, that unique clinic in-store designs, how we present this protocol. We've talked about very briefly, John touched upon our products that Narayan as a product manager will go through that in a little bit more detail. Jenny, if we can go to the next slide. What this shows is the unique slides, that unique program, the protocol journey that we take our clients through. So this is for anything we start. Our crux of this protocol, or crux of this customer experience, is our COSI. Now, it's not new to you guys. COSI is where we start, where we finish our consultation. Everything is about COSI. So we have a very detailed online tool that we utilize within this protocol to get a very good COSI, COSI goals. Then we go into the right-hand side. What you see is some of the slides that we use for devices adjustments, any kind of adjustment we do. Again, everything is quite online. We don't necessarily utilize paper consultation. So that's just giving you an idea of how unique our protocol looks. Jenny, if you could go to the next slide. Yes, here's another piece where, quite unique again, we ask, the CS, when they walk into our screening They ask us a few questions about how they feel about their hearing, how they, we ask a few questions about hearing in soft, hearing in noisy environment. Now that is taking some information, and then we get all this, their perception, and we put against our test results to show them the difference. Some people are quite visual, and this has turned out to be a fantastic tool to show the difference between what their perception and our test results are. And finally, we just discuss and personalize the discussion with their COSI and discuss a solution with them. And this has turned out to be such an incredible tool to facilitate, what can I say, completely superior customer experience. And on the right-hand side, again, going through some of the discussion is products that, again, Narayan will take you through. So finally, what I'd probably say is we want to clearly differentiate ourselves from our competition around through the best service and customer care offering that we can offer, which is absolutely unique and bespoke solution. We want to be the best in Australian market, and that's what we are aspiring to. And I hope I've kind of wrapped the protocol in a very nice package. I'll hand it over to Narayan to talk about the products or the solutions that we offer. There you go, Narayan.
Thank you, Rocky. I hope everyone can hear me clearly. I've heard my name a few times, so I'm Narayan, currently the product manager for the business here in Australia. You've heard a number of times from John and also Rocky about, for us, customer satisfaction and making sure the customer is the center of everything we do is key. And obviously, hearing aids do form a significant part of what we offer. Now, I know some of you are already working in clinics, and some of you are probably going to be starting early next year. You will realize that a lot of clients walk into clinics with little or no information on hearing aids. In the past, it's always about talking about hearing aids based on models and names that the suppliers have set. It really doesn't mean a lot to your clients that walk in. So what we've come up with within Amplifon is an innovative way of talking to customers about products without having too much burden on jargon and manufacturer-based information. So the names we've come up with for our products, what we call internally as the Amplifon families, is based on global research that's come up saying there are 4 main reasons why customers would want to be interested in hearing aids and what they look for in hearing aids in particular. So the idea behind these families have come from that background research. In 2019, as John mentioned, we launched our own Amplifon product range, which I'll talk about a little bit more down the track. And we have tied up with all major suppliers to provide these cutting edge technology. Now the Ampli families, when a customer does walk in, it's very easy for not just the odds to talk about hearing aids, and they can delve into a lot more detail if your client requires that. But it's also very easy for the client to understand what these hearing aids do, what technology there is that goes behind it. So we've got the Ampli Connect range of hearing aids. These are all hearing aids, mainly BTEs and RICs, that would necessarily, at the bottom of it, would be able to stream, connect to your phones, your TVs, and so on. The next one would be the Ampli Energy, which is all the rechargeable devices at different levels. And this is obviously a very popular technology at this point. There's a convenience of not having to change batteries. It's easy to use. Plus, it's got all the technology that all the other hearing aids have in terms of connectivity and so on. But it's an easier hearing aid to use because customers or clients do not have to change batteries, fiddle around with that. We then grouped a group of hearing aids under the Ampli Mini range. Now, as the name suggests, you would have guessed these are all custom hearing aids. So your ITCs, CICs, IICs, they all fall into the Ampli Mini range. And the logic behind this is there's a lot of customers out there that want, a lot of clients out there that want the hearing aids to be discreet. And it's easier conversation for us to have with the client saying, we've got the Ampli Mini range. It's discrete in terms of the technology. It's still packed with significant amount of technology that they can use. And finally, we've got the Ampli Easy. Ampli Easy is a group of hearing aids. It's purely meant for customers that really do not want higher technology. They probably don't use a smartphone. They want something that's very straightforward, very simple to use. And that's where the Ampli Easy range of families come into play. So these four families take into account pretty much all different classes, styles, technology levels of hearing aids, and it's been since we've launched from 2019. It's been fantastic. The feedback that we're getting from audiologists in terms of how easy it is to talk to the clients about hearing aids, how easy it is to explain the technology behind these hearing aids has been very, very positive. Obviously, to support all of this in the current technology world, we've got the Amplifon app. The Amplifon app is one app that will connect to all different suppliers. So it's easy from an audiologist point of view to keep track of what updates are coming up on the app rather than worrying about every single app release that the manufacturer does. We've got one app. It's easy for you, from an audiologist point of view, it's easy to keep track of it, but also from a client point of view, it's very simple. It's got all the features that a supplier app would necessarily have. Also down the track, as the app evolves, we'll have remote assist. Clients would have the option of booking their appointments directly or contacting their audiologist directly through the app as well. Now, all of this, obviously, from an audiologist point of view, as John mentioned at the beginning, we are not bound by any, we're not owned by a supplier, and we're not bound by any contracts with suppliers in terms of who we need to talk about, and the audiologist is under no obligation to go with one or the other. We do have a preferred agreement with all our major suppliers. So as an audiologist, you're really free to choose based on the client's lifestyle mainly, and also what their requirements are based on the hearing test and your own experience. You can go with any of the suppliers. We do not really ask people to go with one or the other. It's really up to our audiologists to select and be comfortable with any of the brands of hearing aids that are out there. We, along with this, obviously having an extensive range of supplies in the portfolio, also has its challenges in terms of training. Rest assured, every supplier does comprehensive training for our audiologist. Everybody that starts new has a comprehensive training program set up with each of the suppliers, but also through the year, there's plenty of touch points. We do training on the go. Every time there's a new product that's being released, there's training that rolls out along with it. I hope this is a very quick snapshot of our product range. I could keep talking about this for a while, but I know Mark's waiting very patiently on the other side, so I'm going to hand over to Mark to take it from here.
Thank you so much, Narayan. First of all, greetings from the Amplifon headquarters in Milano. We're very happy to be able to talk to the other side of the globe, and we're very eager to spread some of the evaluations we have done together. My name is Mark, and I'm in charge of the Amplifon Center for Research and Studies. So maybe we can move directly to the next slide, if you don't mind. So you've heard that we talked a lot about that we work with different products and that we really value all the product suppliers are giving us and manufacturers are working with. On the other hand, we have to stay critical. It's very important that professional audiologists are in charge, and we're not delivered to the mercy of what maybe one marketing department from a manufacturer wants to promote. We have to be there for our customers and for the real needs. So now we want to talk about which kind of directionality technology can we select for people with symmetric hearing loss. So we'll look at people with poor and good localization and how that has influence in selection. Next slide, please. So first of all, do people with hearing loss have more problems localizing sounds than normal hearing people? Yes, they do. They have both more problems localizing from left to right, and they have more problems localizing from front to back, but they can still cope quite well. So typically when you compensate for loudness, you will see that most people with hearing loss do a fair good job in localizing sounds. Next slide. The thing is that when it typically goes wrong is, interestingly, when they start using hearing aids. So if you look at technology at the left slide, you will see that the best technology can in fact give you quite good left-right localization. But the worst technology, and that is not the cheapest, that is sometimes very advanced, can give you a lot of problems localizing from left to right. Exactly the same thing happens in front to back localization to your right. So if you select the most appropriate technology, you can do a very good job. If you select the non-appropriate, you may have significant problems knowing where the sounds are coming from front to back. Next slide. So typically when you start looking at how directionality is evaluated, you see this turning hearing aid. You take a polar diagram. The first time I looked at this in a lab, I was hoping there would be a loudspeaker circling around the hearing aid. It's kind of disappointing. It's just a hearing aid on a stick turning around. That's the only thing you will see in the anechoic chamber. And then if it's only a hearing aid, you will see a very nice round shape. The thing is though that when you put it on a head, you get a very different shape. That's what you see on the right on KEMAR, because you get the head shadow effect that will also have a very different shape. If you can just click one more time. Now, what is the benefit of omnidirectional? Well, the really good thing is that if you compare to most directional schemes, omnidirectional gives a very good sound quality. On the other hand, it has negative aspects. You have poor signal to noise results because you can't improve understanding and noise with the shape of the ear or whatever. You have a very poor front-back localization. I think that's something to bear in mind. Also in pediatric use of hearing aids, Omni doesn't give you front-back localization. And it also will increase the reverberation or the echo. It will be more echoey if you don't apply any directionality in a hearing aid. Next slide. And then of course, directionality came into play. It's been around since the 50s, so I think it's there since a long time. Typically today they work with 2 microphones. And what you will do is that you will use a time inversion that will in fact give you a very interesting aspect because you will be able to get directionality patterns. Click one more time, please. Now, what is good about directionality, fixed directionality in this case, it will improve the signal to noise ratio. In realistic situations, it will improve in about 3 dB SNR. If you see much more, start worry about the protocol they have used for the test. Now, what is negative about directionality? Well, since you use phase inversion, this has much more impact on low frequencies, and you tend to lose your low frequencies at that moment, so it sounds fairly high-pitched. To compensate, you typically increase the low frequency gain, but then you get a lot of wind noise problems because the rumble will be very loud and quite annoying. Next slide. And then of course came the best invention since sliced bread, at least that's what we thought at that moment, because in digital hearing aids we got adaptive directionality. If you just could click one more time, you will see a car driving around your head, very impressive, and you can do that at different frequencies. So it's quite impressive if you do a demo of adaptive directionality. What it will do, it will in fact change the time delay between the 2 microphones. That gives you the best polar plot for a specific noise source at that moment. If you can click one more time. Interesting enough, if you look in realistic situations where noise is all around, it will only give you a 3 dB signal to noise improvement, but the demo is very impressive. People say, wow, when you switch it on. There are some negatives though. You also get the low frequency roll off. You also get the wind noise problems. But because you are in fact fooling around with delays and you're adapting all the time, the problem is that you start to get left-right localization problems. It's not very friendly for central auditory processing. And that's why we call this aggressive processing at that moment further in the talk. Next slide. So we did some studies and worked together with some teams like here in the Leuven University. And I think if you see the title of this article, Horizontal Localization with Bilateral Hearing Aids, without is better than with, it doesn't sound that friendly to hearing aids as such. In those days, it was in fact the start of adaptive directionality. So on the left of the graph, you will see normal hearing people, the difference between the stimulation and the localization response. I think they're nicely on one line. And then you see people with hearing loss. But what we did in that study, we increased the gain, we increased the level of the signal so it was audible for all. And then you see that hearing impaired people do a quite good job. Then if you fit them with traditional omnidirectional microphones, it gets slightly poorer, but it's still acceptable. But the moment you go to the right and use adaptive directionality, then you see they're all over the place and how they respond to the localization. So that was a proof that adaptive directionality is killing a lot of localization cues. So if you could click one more time. And that's exactly the conclusion here. So in this case, Omni was better and unaided was even better than that. But of course, then you need to correct for loudness. And that is, of course, what the hearing aid needs to do. Next slide. Here's an interesting study provided by Briamson and Michael Ackroyd, by the way, who is now in Australia, working there for the time being. They did a very interesting experiment where they used a head tracker and they asked people to look at the source of the sound. And then you will see to the left side that if you take omnidirectional, they just look a little, change their head, and then they look in the right location. At the bottom, the graph B, you will see that they start spinning their head in all different directions. And that's the consequence of adaptive directionality. It's very confusing to know directly where the sound is coming from, which is not very pragmatic and practical. If you can click one more time. So here you see that it leads to a lot of orientation problems, and that's why we call this aggressive. Next slide. And then there were some issues with sound quality of directional schemes. So one of the manufacturers developed what they call asymmetric directionality. In fact, they had the nerve to call it natural directionality, but it's not natural at all. So one ear is omni, one ear is directional, that's the focus ear. If you click one more time. And although they promised a lot because the sound quality is better, the signal to noise improvement is about the same. But what we found out is that if you use that kind of directionality, you get huge problems in left-right localization. You will see that later when we show the results of the studies we have conducted with the team. Next slide. And then finally, everybody got into pace, and then we saw that maybe we have to do what nature is doing. Why don't we just simulate the outer ear or the pinna? So here you see the polar response of an open ear, and you will see that the red and orange lines show a directional pattern, while the blue and the green line show a fairly omnidirectional pattern in the open ear. That's because our ears are not big enough to have directional patterns for low frequencies, or you need big elephant ears to be able to do more in the low frequencies. And that's what they copied with this simulation of a human pinna to the right. So what they did exactly, they will make sure that the hearing aid is behaving as a human pinna. If you can click one more time. So the good thing is that, first of all, interesting enough, you get better sound quality. And if you want, we can show you more on double-blind studies showing there's a huge impact. It also sounds very natural. It keeps the low frequencies intact because you don't lose them. There is no need to switch between omni and directional all the time. And you will see that we get very good localization both for left, right, and front back. And the signal to noise improvement again is around 3 dB. The downside is it's not wow. It's not very impressive if you demo it because it's just like a human ear. But maybe wow is fine for the first time, but wow every second is maybe not a great idea. You want to have some peace and quiet, and you want to be able to have the central auditory system work. Next slide. Now, this is not new because CICs do pick up the sound in the human ear, so that's right. There's a new trend now that's a microphone and receiver combination and receiver in the ear devices. I won't go into that for the interest of time, but they are doing the same. They're also giving you pinna effects. Next slide. And then you see the result of the study we conducted with the whole team. What you see here is if you look at left-right areas, you will see that compared to unaided, pinna directionality does quite well. Asymmetric is doing dramatically poor. And interesting enough, you also see here a directional scheme that is using ear-to-ear communication intended to improve localization left and right, but it's doing quite a poor job. Next slide. And when it comes to front-back localization, here you see that omnidirectional is doing a very poor job. We knew that because it doesn't have any front-back differences in spectrum. But also in this case, this ear-to-ear communication didn't really help, which is maybe logical, but that was not all that good. Next slide. So Do we have advanced aggressive directional systems out there? Yes, there's a lot of it. And that's what typically manufacturers promote most. Each day locator, the open sound navigator, stereo zoom, autofocus, you name it. That's what is promoted. Next. But all the manufacturers also have PINA directionality in place. All manufacturers have it. They give a different name like real ear sound, surround sound, true ear, digital PINA, whatever, or CICs. Next slide. Interesting enough, they all have it, but they don't promote it. So what is the conclusion? First of all, assess and analyze if people know where the sounds are coming from. And that's what we also do in this 360 protocol, because there's a question if people know where the sounds are coming from, and you evaluate that. Then you select the most appropriate technology. Then you ensure a good balance between left and right, between both ears. And then again, you evaluate functionality aided. Next click. Advanced technology is not automatically superior or good for everybody. Next. So for people with good central auditory processing, with good localization, it's best to select the most natural signal processing, which is PINA. Extra advanced aggressive may hurt more than it helps. And ear-to-ear technology is not a guarantee it's better. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not a guarantee it will be better. Next. But when central auditory processing is poor, first of all, check if it wasn't maybe the old settings of the old hearing aid that created the localization problems. But if that is confirmed, now it's time to go advanced and aggressive. Of course, there is a need for all this advanced technology. And you also may consider to use accessories like remote microphones. And now I want to hand over to Raki. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now, Raki.
Okay, thank you for that wonderful presentation, Mark. It's great to have you on board again. Thank you for attending this from across the world so early in the morning. Now let's just that concludes our presentations for this evening, but we can open now for Q&A. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Raki. I will just ask if all of our presenters could turn on their videos while I am just having a look at our questions. So the first question that we have is for John, asking if you have been working in the regional area and what is your experience building connections with the local community?
Yes, thanks, Ruby. Yes, I have worked in the regional area before. Developing connections, I guess, I think I've said it once in a previous presentation, but I find that we talk about being genuine, and I can say without being, I guess, standardized across the board, that a regional clientele just want to hear it as it is, not all the, the extra parts that come with any sort of explanation of their hearing loss. I find that just listening, and it goes with not just regional clients, but anywhere else, just giving that time, not feeling rushed is probably the biggest part. Things might be a little bit slower paced with regional clinics, and I think our regional clients expect the same. So they don't just want to sort of feel like they're making up the diary for the day. They literally just want to have a discussion. Sometimes it's just general discussion about what's happening, and probably finding out what your thoughts are about the regional location that you're working at, because they want to sort of feel that you're part of the community. And if you're working within the regional clinic, what works is actually feeling like you're invested into that community, understanding where the actual local attributes are, wherever it may be, whether it's the local football team. That's the genuine connection I feel works when whenever you're working in a regional clinic, in order to develop and establish that rapport with our clients. So steady pace, listening, and actually having true vested, genuine understanding of the regional area that you're working in.
Fantastic, thanks for that. We've got another question here from Belinda, which firstly, Belinda says, thanks for the great presentation, everyone. Belinda says that she understands that there is quite a steep learning curve in the intern year with aspects such as the HSP system, timing, and clinical skills. Is there anything that you would recommend we as current students should focus on to make the transition smoother?
Okay, I'll take that.
Thanks, Rocky.
Cheers. Great question, Belinda. I would say just it's, you know, you are in university or you're finishing your university. It's let alone coming to a new provider or a new job, starting a new job. It would be quite stressful, but we make it quite easy, quite well. We've got this ongoing support that Leng talked about. We make it much more easy for you to get this whole transition going. So don't you worry. The only thing that I would say is just come passionate, and that's pretty much it. We've got the rest of it covered. That's what I would say.
Fantastic. Great answer, Rocky. We've got another question here from Isaac. This is for John again. Just saying thank you for sharing your career pathway with everyone. And Isaac would like to know what your role as a clinical trainer was like, and what was the importance in your transition from a QP audiologist into this role.
Yeah. So the first part of that question regarding, thank you for the question, Isaac. The key attributes that I enjoyed with the trainer was just sharing. I think that's the biggest word I can sort of take out. I still love to share whatever knowledge I have, but also taking on board and absorbing knowledge from others in how I can relay that to my staff or the practitioners. And I think that works well. It's not just sort of saying how it's done, but giving examples, giving anecdotes, giving real life case studies, I think is the best format of training. And then sharing your own experiences is what works best. The second part of that question is moving, I guess, from an audiologist to a trainer. I guess what got me into an audiologist as a trainer first was being recognized that I was always first to put up my hand or acknowledge something and still reach out and help others. So creating my own sort of mentorship without even being asked to do it. So taking upon your own initiative and sharing your own best practices. So never holding cards to yourself and this is the way that I do it. It's about sort of exemplifying and giving that best practice forward. And then beyond that sort of training level, I still keep in touch with the trainers, with Raki's team. I guess what I've been fortunate about working in different departments is that I've been able to learn the back end and still been able to, I guess, relay that same information to the wider team and have an answer and have a solution for them as I continue to learn and grow and develop.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, John. We've got a question here for Mark, who one of our participants here says, thank you so much for the interesting talk, Mark. This person has symmetrical hearing loss and so can totally relate to what you were discussing. The question is, how would advanced technology assist patients with poor CAP in relation to localization in directionality? Could that possibly cause greater localization confusion?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think it's a great question as such. And that is why I think it's so key that we know in people's ability to localize and know if the center auditory processing is working, yes or no. The thing is though that the moment you have problems in center auditory processing, localization is honestly nearly out of the question. It will be very difficult to restore localization. The only thing we can do is try to use technology to improve the signal to noise ratio, to be sure that it's easier to understand than noise. And that's kind of a challenge because if you do a localization test on people with CAPD, you will see that you can try how much you like, they won't be able to know where the sounds are coming from. That's a reality from time to time. And then I think there is a real place in advanced technology. So the best thing you can do is remote microphones and FM systems. They are spectacular. They give 20 dB signal to noise improvement, but of course it's not always practical. The rest, I think that all the technology out there, which is more aggressive, is intended to improve the signal to noise ratio. So for people with poor CAPD problems, that is a fix and that's a solution as such. But what I want to bear in mind, it's the audiologist that has to be in charge. It's your role to look what people can do and what you can't do, and then to apply the best technology possible for a specific person. It's you that is in the driver's seat and not the fitting software. So that's what I just wanted to add. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mark. That looks like it's all of our questions. So I would like to say again, thank you so much to everyone from Amplifon who was able to present for us today. That was a really great session. And I would also like to thank Amplifon again for their continued support throughout Inspire 2020. And finally, I would like to thank all of our participants for joining us. So I will now hand over to Savio. Yes.